Right now, at least 122 homes have been destroyed, and approximately 960 more are still in harm's way, as two of the most destructive wildfires in Georgia's recorded history continue to burn through southeast Georgia. The Highway 82 fire in Brantley County started April 20th by a foil party balloon hitting a power line, has flattened 87 homes, the most destructive single wildfire in state history per Governor Brian Kemp. On Saturday afternoon, the Pineland Road Fire in Clinch and Echols Counties, started by sparks from a resident welding a gate, had already burned more than 46 square miles and destroyed 35 more homes. Statewide, 91 counties are now under state of emergency. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has designated 126 counties as primary natural disaster areas. Federal authorities have ranked the two fires this week as the two most dangerous wildfires in the United States. Forecasters expect no above-average rainfall in southeast Georgia until July. Fire season runs through October, 960 homes in the path. But here is the detail that should stop you cold. The fuel that let those two trivial sparks destroy 122 homes was downed 18 months ago by a hurricane. Georgia spent $135 million trying to remove it. They couldn't. Helene didn't end in 2024. It is still burning Georgia in 2026. Fire scientists have a word for what happens when a hurricane converts directly into a fire risk. They speak it carefully. Tinderbox. Hurricane Helene flattened approximately 14,000 square miles of Georgia forestland in September 2024. Nearly the size of the entire state of Maryland covered in dead trees, more than 26 million tons of pine, and 30 million tons of hardwood lying on the forest floor for a year and a half, waiting for a spark. Now stack the numbers. The Highway 82 fire has destroyed 87 homes. The Pineland Road Fire has destroyed 35 more. Together, more than 77 square miles of southeast Georgia gone in less than a week. Containment at 7% on the Brantley fire, 10% on the Clinch fire. Those numbers have barely moved in 3 days. Roughly 800 homes still in harm's way in Brantley County, 160 in Clinch and Echols, 91 Georgia counties under emergency, 126 counties designated as primary natural disaster areas by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. A historic 30-day mandatory burn ban now in effect across the southern half of the state. More than 150 other wildfires currently burning across Georgia and Florida combined. So far this year, 2,802 square miles of the United States have burned in wildfires. 88% above the 10-year average for this point in the calendar. Fire crews on the ground include 59 fire departments in Brantley County alone, 20 bulldozers, federal air tankers, Georgia National Guard aviation units, Georgia Department of Corrections inmate fire teams. If both fires were started by sparks you could put in a child's hand, the question is what changed about the Georgia forest itself between September 2024 and April 2026. Now look at what was actually on the ground when those sparks landed. Seth Hawkins, spokesperson for the Georgia Forestry Commission, gave AP reporters a single sentence that explained what the firefighters were fighting through. There's a ton of old Hurricane Helene debris down in the woods. It's lying around, and it's just a tinderbox out there. Hawkins added a follow-up on the cleanup problem. The way Helene just threw everything down like matchsticks, there's only so much you can do short of bulldozing everything. In September 2024, Helene crossed Georgia. The storm hit approximately 14,000 square miles of state forest land. A National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration assessment downed more than 56 million tons of dead trees on the ground. The state spent roughly $135 million helping private timberland owners remove fallen trees. The Army Corps of Engineers hauled off millions of cubic yards of debris. Federal money, state money, private contractors. 18 months later, the Forestry Commission's own spokesperson was describing what was still in the woods as a tinderbox. But the strangest part of these fires isn't that Helene's debris fueled them, it's that federal forecasters issued a specific warning about that exact risk 1 week before the fires broke out. Nick Nauslar, Fire Science and Operations Officer with the National Weather Service at the National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, told the AP that federal and state officials had looked at the drought, the weather, and the millions of dead trees from Helene 7 days before the first ignition and issued an advisory. Nauslar's framing. It has been warmer and drier than normal across many of the areas where Helene caused damage. You have an excess of fuel available because now the trees are dead and at the mercy of weather and climate. If you get dry and windy conditions, if you get an ignition, it's more likely to ignite and spread. 3 conditions: drought, wind, dead tree fuel. All 3 named in the advisory, all 3 present in southeast Georgia by mid-April. The fires that are now the 2 most dangerous in the country are not what Nauslar's team predicted in the abstract. They are what Nauslar's team predicted in detail 1 week earlier. The Highway 82 fire was started by a foil party balloon that came down on a power line. Governor Brian Kemp confirmed it at his press conference at the Waycross-Ware County Airport. The Pineland Road Fire was started by sparks from a resident welding a gate, same press conference. Therefore, the question of what makes a wildfire catastrophic is not what starts it. Ignition sources are constant: backyard burns, dropped cigarettes, balloons, welding sparks. What changed between September 2024 and April 2026 was the supply of fuel. Underneath all of it sits the drought. 98% of Georgia is currently in moderate to exceptional drought. The Keetch-Byram Drought Index at the fire sites is approaching 700, the range associated with high resistance to containment. Officials estimate 8 to 10 inches of rain are needed. The state is not expected to see above-average rainfall until July. The last time a southern hurricane left forest debris that fed a fire season, the consequences took years to fully emerge. September 22, 1989. Hurricane Hugo made landfall in South Carolina as a Category 4 storm. Sustained winds of 140 miles per hour at landfall. Within 24 hours, Hugo had downed roughly 4.5 million acres of forest land, between 4.5 and 6.5 billion board feet of timber, flattened or severed at the base. Even with a multi-year salvage operation by the United States Forest Service, in the years following Hugo, particularly 1990 through 1993, South Carolina recorded an above-average wildfire frequency in the Hugo damage zone. Researchers later confirmed Hugo's downed timber fuel load contributed to elevated fire activity for at least 3 to 4 years after the storm. Hugo's fuel risk took 4 years to clear. Helene happened 18 months ago. Let the numbers sit with you. 14,000 square miles of Georgia forest land hit by Helene. 56 million tons of dead trees. $135 million spent on cleanup. 1 foil balloon on a power line. 1 welder. 87 homes in Brantley, 35 in Clinch. 960 homes still threatened. 91 counties under state of emergency. Fire season in southeast Georgia runs through October. So ask yourself 2 things. If federal forecasters name the exact 3 conditions 1 week before the fire started and the fires arrived exactly as described, what good is the advisory if the cleanup can't move fast enough to use it? And if Hugo's fuel risk took 4 years to clear and Helene happened only 18 months ago, what does the rest of fire season look like when the worst of it is still ahead? Tonight, Helene's downed timber is still on the ground. The drought is still at exceptional. The forecast is still dry. Until July, the cleanup is still running on the same 18-month schedule that just produced the most destructive single wildfire in Georgia's history. The fire that destroyed 87 homes in Brantley County started with a child's birthday balloon. The fuel that let it grow was put on the ground 18 months ago by a hurricane that nobody connected to a fire risk until the fire arrived. If this story is worth telling, subscribe. We cover more of these every week.